To me, this story has some comical moments. Sometimes people leave with their emotions. Also, this story has a small update at the end. Am I the a-hole for changing the locks while my cheating wife was on a so-called work trip with her lover? Never thought I'd be here, asking strangers on the internet if I'm the a-hole. But life's funny like that. I'm 38, married to Valerie, 36 for 12 years. No kids, just a dog named Butch. It started with a Facebook message. Random woman reaches out, says she needs to talk to me about my wife, Valerie. I almost ignored it, wish I had. This can't be good. Turns out this woman, Trish, is married to a guy named Chris. Chris works with my wife, and for the past year, Chris and Valerie have been screwing around. Trish had suspected for months, hired a PI, got photos, the whole 9 yards. She confronted Chris, and he spilled everything. Trish decided I deserved to know. You would be surprised at what private investigators can find out, not just with cheating. I didn't believe it at first. I thought our marriage was strong. High school sweethearts, married young, built a life together. Sure, things were not perfect, but whose marriage is? But Trish had proof. Photos of them at hotels, copies of text messages. It was heartbreaking to see what Trish had. I just couldn't believe it. 12 years of marriage, and Valerie has been lying to my face for a year. Well, who's to say the affair wasn't longer? The affair could already have been ongoing by the time Trish hired a private investigator. I sat on this info for a week. Valerie had no idea I knew. She was getting ready for another so-called work conference in San Diego. I knew now she'd be meeting Chris there. The night before she left, I almost confronted her, almost screamed, cried, demanded answers. But I didn't. I kissed her goodbye, told her to have a safe flight, watched her drive away, knowing she was going to him. As soon as she was gone, I sprang into action. Called a locksmith, had all the locks changed. I don't think he can legally do that, locking his wife out of the marital home regardless of the circumstances. Packed up all her clothes, her personal stuff, loaded it into her car, drove it to her parents' place. They were not home, so I left it in the driveway with a note. Ask Valerie about Chris. I decided to take half the money out of our savings. I opened up a new account, as well as filling out a new direct deposit form for it to go into my new bank account. I turned off her cell phone. The bitch can get her own. Canceled our joint credit cards and removed her from my life insurance policy. Then I sat and waited. 3 days later, Valerie comes home. Except she can't get in. Calls me, freaking out. Where's her car? Why won't her key work? What's going on? I let her panic for a bit. Then I told her. Told her I knew about Chris, about the year-long affair. Told her not to come home, that we're done. She broke down, crying, screaming, begging. Swore it was a mistake, that she'd ended with Chris. Said she loves me, that we can work it out. They always say that. They always say we can work it out after they fucked up. How? You've been giving yourself to another man for a whole year, probably longer. Part of me wanted to just hear her out, but I couldn't get past the betrayal. I would have never found out if it wasn't for Trish. Yep, I would agree. If the other betrayed spouse didn't reach out, Valerie would still be cheating. Told her to get a lawyer, that I was planning to file for divorce as soon as I can. I hung up on her while she was still pleading. That was 2 weeks ago. Since then, it's been chaos. Valerie has been staying with her parents. They're furious with her, but think I went too far. Says I should have confronted her first, given her a chance to explain. Explain what? She cheated. There was nothing to explain. Her friends are calling me an asshole, saying I humiliated her, that adults should talk things out. What the fuck? Cheaters don't get that privilege. My family's on my side, says Valerie made her bed, now she can lie in it. My friends are split. Some think I'm a hero for standing up for myself. Others think I went nuclear too fast. Valerie is still trying to fix things, sending emails, leaving voicemails, begging for another chance. Says she'll do anything to make it right. I haven't responded. Can't bring myself to talk to her. Every time I think about her, all I can see is her with Chris, laughing at me behind my back, making a fool of me for a whole year. But now, 2 weeks out, I'm starting to wonder, did I go too far? Should I have confronted her first, given her a chance to explain? 12 years is a long time to throw away without a conversation. But then I remembered those photos, the text messages, a whole year of lies. How many nights did I wait up, worried about her working late, while she was really with Chris? I'm lost. The house feels empty. Butch keeps looking for Valerie, doesn't understand where she's gone. I can't sleep in our bed, moved to the guest bedroom, but her smell lingers everywhere. Her favorite coffee mug is still in the cabinet. Her shampoo was still in the shower. Man, get rid of all that shit. Rip the Band-Aid off. But I always say, most men outside of YouTube won't act fast. This guy is moving fast. Most men would want to fix it. Spoiler alert, there was nothing to fix. Started seeing a therapist, trying to work through the anger, betrayal. Some days I'm sure I did the right thing. Other days I wonder if I acted too hastily. Valerie's birthday is next week. I'd already bought her a gift months ago. Found it while cleaning out the closet. Just a stupid necklace. But I'd been so excited to give it to her. Ended up donating it to Goodwill. Couldn't stand to look at it. Chris's wife, Lisa, called again. Wanted to know how I was doing. Felt weird talking to her. Like we're in some shitty club we never asked to join. She left Chris, by the way. Says she couldn't get past the betrayal. I get that. Don't know if I'll ever be able to trust anyone again. How do you move on from something like this? How do you open yourself up knowing how much it can hurt? Valerie's sister stopped by yesterday. Wanted to plead Valerie's case. Said Valerie's a mess, that she knows she screwed up. Wants me to at least hear her out. I sent her away. Not ready to face Valerie yet. Don't know if I'll ever be ready. So here I am, 38 years old, starting over. Thinking about selling the house. I have too many memories here. Might move to a new city, get a fresh start. But that feels like letting Valerie win somehow. Like I'm the one who must leave when she's the one who blew up our marriage. Was I an asshole for changing the locks? For anything so abruptly? Should I have given her a chance to explain? Or did I do the right thing? Protecting myself from more lies? I don't know, and that's why I'm here, asking you, Reddit, am I the asshole? Update. Well, it's official. I filed for divorce, and I put the house up for sale. It's been a few months since this happened, and Valerie has cooled off. She sends text messages every so often, and yes, she got her own phone in her name. Her family doesn't talk to me anymore. They still think I should have given her a chance to explain. But I said, the hell with her. She broke my heart, and I would never be able to trust her again. Yeah, he probably won't. When I talked to the lawyer, he said I was lucky that Valerie didn't pursue the issue of getting locked out of her home. Yep, like I said earlier, you can't just kick your spouse out, even if they cheated. Anyway, I wanted to come back with an update to let you guys know that I did follow through with the divorce. Butch has gotten better. Doesn't really moan anymore since Valerie isn't around. TLDR, found out my wife cheated on me through Chris's wife, Lisa. When I found out, I changed the locks and kicked Valerie out and took her stuff to her parents. Reddit, am I the asshole? Well, Valerie got exactly what she wanted. The saying goes, actions have consequences. Thanks for tuning in. Until next time. How many of you think a vasectomy can fail? Here was another crazy story. He says, am I the a-hole for demanding a paternity test and considering divorce after finding out my wife cheated? I, 41 male, have been married to my wife, Jeanette. She's 38 for 7 years. We have a 5-year-old daughter, Wendy, who I've always believed was the greatest gift of my life. Now I'm not so sure about anything anymore. Some background. Jeanette and I met in college. We dated for 3 years, broke up on good terms when we graduated, then reconnected 2 years later. By then, I had decided I didn't want children. I've always been honest about this. I had a rough childhood, and the thought of passing on my family's genetic predisposition to certain health issues scared me. So, at 28, 2 years before Jeanette and I got married, I had a vasectomy. Jeanette knew about this from the start. We talked about it extensively before getting engaged. She said she was fine with it, that she loved me more than the idea of having children. We discussed adoption or fostering in the future if we decided we wanted kids. It seemed like we were on the same page. Fast forward to a year into our marriage, Jeanette started feeling sick, tired all the time. I joked that she was pregnant, never thinking it could actually be true. But then she took a test and positive. We were shocked, to say the least. I immediately got tested, and somehow, against all odds, my vasectomy had failed. The doctor said it was rare, but not impossible. Jeanette and I were scared at first, but we decided to embrace it. We did a prenatal paternity test, which confirmed I was the father. Wendy was born, and I fell in love with her instantly. These past 5 years have been the happiest of my life. Well, that's the way it seemed. One day, Nicole came over around noon as usual. It was a Thursday. Jeanette had already mentioned that they'd be ordering in, but when the food delivery was delayed, Jeanette stepped out to grab it herself instead. I was finishing up a Zoom conference call in my home office. So I didn't think much of it when Jeanette left Nicole behind. After all, Nicole had been over 1,000,000 times before. During a lull in my meeting, I overheard Nicole talking on the phone in our guest room. She had the door slightly ajar, but not fully closed. It sounded like she was whispering, but I clearly heard her say, "You can't keep this secret forever." Uh-oh. What about the real father? I immediately thought, who the hell is she talking to? I muted my conference call, straining to hear more. Nicole continued her conversation. "I know you're scared, but he deserves to know the truth. It's been years since, Jeanette. You need to tell him." I must have made a noise because Nicole suddenly stopped talking. She came out of the room and saw me standing there, my conference call forgotten. The look on her face said it all. She knew I'd heard everything. I confronted her immediately. Nicole broke down, crying, begging me not to be angry with her. Through her tears, she admitted that Jeanette had cheated on me 6 years ago, just a few months into our marriage. Wow. The affair had lasted a couple of months before Jeanette ended it. I was absolutely stunned. My mind was reeling, trying to process this information. But one thought kept pushing its way to the forefront. Wendy. If Jeanette had cheated around that time, could Wendy be? I demanded more details from Nicole. She revealed that the affair had been with Jeanette's ex-boyfriend, a guy named Danny, who I'd always felt uneasy about. Apparently, he'd come back into town for a few months, and things had rekindled between them. "Why didn't you tell me?" I asked Nicole. Nicole looked ashamed. Jeanette swore it was over. She said it was a horrible mistake and that she loved you. I didn't want to ruin your marriage. And then Wendy came along. I couldn't bear the thought of tearing your family apart. I was furious. Not just Jeanette, but Nicole too. She'd known about this for years and said nothing. She watched me raise Wendy, knowing there was a chance I wasn't her biological father. I sent Nicole home and waited for Jeanette to return. That hour was the longest of my life. I paced the house, looking at photos of our family, of Wendy. I always thought she had my eyes, my smile. Now, I wondered if I'd just been seeing what I wanted to see. When Jeanette got home, I confronted her immediately. She denied everything at first, trying to gaslight me into thinking I misunderstood Nicole's conversation. But when I told her exactly what Nicole had revealed, she crumbled. Jeanette admitted to the affair, sobbing and begging for forgiveness. She swore it had only happened because she was scared about the sudden change in our lives after getting married. She said Danny had been a safety blanket from her past, but she'd realized quickly that she only wanted me. Safety blanket? What the fuck? Stay with Danny then. I asked a question that had been burning in my mind. Is Wendy mine? Jeanette's face went pale. Of course she is. It has to be you. The vasectomy failed, remember, and we did that paternity test before she was born. But I couldn't shake the doubt. The timing was too convenient. A failed vasectomy right when she was having an affair. It seemed too coincidental. And who's to say she didn't fake the paternity test result somehow? I told Jeanette I wanted another paternity test. She freaked out, saying it would destroy our family and that it didn't matter because I was Wendy's dad. Biology be damned. But it matters to me. I love Wendy with all my heart, but I need to know the truth. I moved into the guest room for now. Jeanette is beside herself, alternating between begging for forgiveness and getting angry at me for not simply trusting her. I wouldn't trust your ass either. You cheated, and you and your friend kept it a secret. She's refusing the paternity test, saying it would be a betrayal of Wendy. Wendy knows something is wrong, but she's too young to understand what's happening. We're trying to keep things normal around her, but kids are perceptive. She's been extra clingy lately, especially with me, as if she senses she might lose me. It breaks my heart. Our families and friends have gotten involved, taking sides in a situation they don't fully understand. My parents and siblings are furious with Jeanette and fully support my decision to demand a paternity test. They're pushing for divorce, saying I shouldn't stay with someone who betrayed me like this. Jeanette's family, on the other hand, is urging me to forgive her. They're calling me an asshole for even considering a paternity test, saying it shows I don't love Wendy unconditionally. Her mother had the gall to tell me that real men don't need biology to be fathers. Yeah, those same real men end up paying $375,000 to raise that child until they're 18, a child possibly not theirs. As if I haven't been a real father to Wendy for the past 5 years. Our friends are divided. Some think I'm overreacting and should just move past this for the sake of our family. Others are firmly on my side, saying Jeanette's betrayal is unforgivable. Nicole is caught in the middle, continuously apologizing for keeping the secret, but also defending her loyalty to Jeanette. I can barely look at her right now. I'm struggling to make a decision. Part of me wants to just forgive Jeanette and move on for Wendy's sake. I love our life together, and the thought of breaking up our family is agonizing. But another part feels like I can't trust Jeanette ever again. The lies, the betrayal, how do you come back from that? Sometimes it's just hard to come back from a spouse that cheated, especially that soon into the marriage. And then there's the question of Wendy's paternity. I love her more than anything in this world. She's my daughter in every way that matters, but I can't shake the need to know the truth. The thought of raising another man's child without knowing it makes me feel physically ill. Yeah, this is a tough one. All in all, the child is innocent in all this, but still possibly another man's kid. At the same time, I'm terrified of losing her if the test shows I'm not her biological father. I've consulted a lawyer to understand my rights. In our state, I would likely still be considered Wendy's legal father regardless of biology because I am on the birth certificate. Yep, that's right. Even if you are not the biological father but on the birth certificate, you are on the hook until a paternity test can clear you, and even then it might be tough. The lawyer also warned me about the potential emotional fallout of a paternity test. If Wendy isn't biologically mine, it could change our relationship, even if I don't want it to. I've started seeing a therapist to help process all of this. Jeanette is in individual counseling too, but she's resistant to couples therapy. She says we need to work things out on our own first, but I'm not sure what that means or if it's even possible. I've considered reaching out to Danny, the ex-boyfriend. Jeanette claims she cut off all contact with him after the affair and that he doesn't know anything about this situation. Part of me wants to confront him to see if his story matches Jeanette's, but another part is afraid of what I might learn. My friends have suggested everything from forgiveness to scorched earth divorce. Some say I should focus on being Wendy's dad, regardless of biology. Others insist I have a right to know the truth, no matter how painful. I'm torn between my love for Wendy and my need for honesty. I don't know if I can stay in this marriage, knowing what Jeanette did, but the thought of not being with Wendy every day is unbearable. So, Reddit, I turn to you. Am I the asshole for demanding a paternity test and considering ending my marriage over this? Or should I try to forgive and move on for the sake of our family? How do I balance my need for truth with Wendy's well-being? Well, infidelity alone is enough for this man to consider ending his marriage. He is well within his right. Wendy, the little girl, is another issue. Edit. Thank you all for your responses. I'm trying to read through them all. To those asking about the vasectomy, yes, I had follow-up tests after the procedure that confirmed it was successful. I also had annual checkups for the first few years, all of which showed zero sperm count. The doctor who did the prenatal paternity test, the one that supposedly confirmed I was the father, said that very rarely vasectomies can heal themselves. At the time, I was too excited about becoming a dad to question it further. Some have asked for more details on the timeline. The affair happened about 8 to 9 months before Jeanette got pregnant. We were having regular sex at the time, which is why she claims the pregnancy could be mine despite the vasectomy. Danny had left town by then, which Jeanette says proves he can't be the father. But I don't know if I can trust anything she says now. Well, yeah, she cheated. That alone is enough to end the marriage. To the people suggesting I just man up and raise Wendy regardless, I have been her father for 5 years. I love her more than life itself. This isn't about not wanting to be her dad. It's about needing to know the truth and feeling betrayed by my wife. Several people have asked about Wendy and how she's coping. Why tell her at this age? She's only 5 if I'm not mistaken. She really wouldn't understand. We're both committed to protecting her as much as possible, regardless of what happens between us. If we do end up separating or divorcing, we'll keep her best interest at heart. To those asking why I believe Jeanette now when she's lied before, I don't. That's why I want the paternity test. I need objective truth, not just her word. A lot of people are suggesting I might have fallen for paternity fraud 5 years ago. I'm looking into whether it's possible to get the records from the prenatal paternity test we did. If Jeanette somehow faked those results, I don't even know how to process that level of deception. To address the legal questions, yes, I've consulted a lawyer. The lawyer advised me to carefully consider my actions moving forward, as they could affect potentially custody arrangements. For those asking about Danny, the ex, no, I haven't contacted him yet. I'm thinking about it, but I'm not sure if it's a good idea. Jeanette swears he doesn't know anything about this situation. Thank you all for your perspectives. This has been overwhelming, but reading your comments has helped me process things. I'm leaning towards insisting on the paternity test, regardless of the outcome. I need to know the truth to move forward, one way or another. I love Wendy and will always be her dad, but I need to make decisions about my marriage with all the facts. Some of you have asked about my relationship with Wendy and how this might affect it. Honestly, I'm terrified. Wendy is my world. I've been there for every skinned knee, every nightmare, every triumph. The thought of her not being mine biologically doesn't change how I feel about her. But I'm scared it might change how she feels about me if she ever finds out. And part of me is angry that Jeanette's actions have put me in this position, angry that I have to question something I thought was certain. A few people have suggested that Jeanette's resistance to the paternity test is proof of guilt. I'm not sure I agree. I think she's genuinely afraid of losing our family, but her fear doesn't outweigh my need for the truth. She's still resistant, but I think she's starting to realize she doesn't have a choice. To those asking about my mental health, it's not great, to be honest. I'm having trouble sleeping, can't focus at work. I've started having panic attacks, something I've never experienced before. My therapist is helping, but this whole situation has really knocked me off balance. I'm trying to stay strong for Wendy, but it's hard. Someone asked about Jeanette's behavior during her pregnancy and after Wendy was born. Looking back, there were no red flags. She was excited, nervous, all the normal things. After Wendy was born, she was a devoted mother. That's part of what makes this so hard to process. If she could lie about something this big, what else might she have lied about? I've been asked if I'm prepared for the possibility that Wendy isn't biologically mine. Honestly, I don't know. I love her so much, and I can't imagine not being her dad. But I also can't pretend that knowing wouldn't change things. I still want to be in her life, but would Jeanette try to push me out? Would Wendy resent me if she found out later in life? There are so many unknowns, and it's terrifying. To those suggesting I might be overreacting, maybe you're right, but this isn't just about the affair. It's about years of lies about the possibility that my entire family life is based on deception. I need to know the truth, even if it hurts. I can't move forward, can't even think about forgiveness until I know what I'm forgiving. Good point. Someone asked what my best case scenario would be. Honestly, that the test shows I'm Wendy's biological father. That somehow, against all odds, my vasectomy really did fail, and Jeanette's affair was just a horrible mistake that didn't result in a child. But even if that's the case, I don't know if I can ever trust Jeanette again. The lie, the years of deception, that's a wound that might never fully heal. I'm terrified of a custody battle, of only seeing Wendy on weekends or holidays. The thought of another man stepping into my role in her life makes me physically ill. But I also know I can't make decisions based on fear. I need to know what's best for Wendy, even if it breaks my heart. I'll update when I have more information. Thank you for your support during this difficult time. Well, this is a tough one. Not for infidelity. He can end the marriage on that alone. But the paternity and the vasectomy, he still can be that child's biological father. That's crazy. Vasectomies can heal themselves. Thanks for tuning in. Until next time. This is a heartbreaking story in my opinion. Am I the a-hole for divorcing my wife after finding out I'm not the biological father of any of our 3 kids? This is a tough one, and I've been going back and forth on whether to post this, but I really need some outside perspective. I, 45 male, have been married to my wife, Lucy. She's 44 for 20 years. We had what I thought was a solid marriage. Most men don't think there's anything wrong with their marriage until it's too late. We have 3 kids, Malcolm, 18, Stanley, he's 16, and Evelyn, she's 14. For all these years, I've done everything I can to be a good husband and father. I've worked hard to provide for my family, spent countless hours with my kids, helped with homework, attended all their events, and been there for every milestone. I loved being a dad. It was a huge part of my identity. A few months ago, Malcolm was getting ready to go to college. Part of the process involved him getting a comprehensive medical checkup. The university required a detailed medical history, and his doctor suggested genetic testing to identify any potential hereditary health risk. It seemed like a smart move. Better safe than sorry, right? I didn't hesitate to agree, thinking it would just be another routine checkup. A couple of weeks later, I got a call from the clinic asking me to come in to discuss the results. I didn't think much of it at first. I figured they just wanted to go over everything in person. But when I got there, the doctor sat me down and told me something that made my stomach drop. She said, the DNA test showed that I'm not Malcolm's biological father. Wow, I can't imagine what his thought process was after hearing that. I was completely blindsided. I mean, how could this be? I'm his dad. I've always been his dad. I asked if there could have been some kind of mix-up, but the doctor assured me that they had double-checked everything and the results were accurate. I felt like my whole world had just come crashing down. When I got home, I didn't know how to confront Lucy. She was in the kitchen making dinner like it was any other day, completely unaware that my entire perception of our life had just been shattered. I handed her the envelope with the test results and watched as she read it. Her face went pale, and she looked up at me with tears in her eyes. Is this true? I asked. I was desperate for her to tell me it was a mistake, that there was some logical explanation. She just stood there, silent, and that's when I knew. I didn't need her to say anything. The guilt on her face was all the confirmation I needed. I couldn't believe it. I felt like my chest was being crushed. I asked her if she had cheated on me, and after a long, painful silence, she admitted that she had. She said it was years ago, a mistake she regretted deeply, but she didn't know who Malcolm's biological father was. She said she convinced herself it didn't matter because I was his father in every way that counted. What? The hell it doesn't matter. Why do some women have this dumbass thought process that any man is a father regardless of paternity? Get out of here with that shit. I was devastated. How could she keep something like this from me? I felt betrayed, humiliated, and heartbroken all at once. I didn't know how to process it. I couldn't even look at her. I walked out of the house and drove around for hours, trying to make sense of what I had just learned. In the days that followed, I found myself looking at Stanley and Evelyn differently. I hated that I was questioning their paternity, but I couldn't help it. The doubt was eating away at me. I knew I needed to know the full truth. So I had DNA tests done for Stanley and Evelyn too. When the results came back, it was like reliving the nightmare all over again. Neither Stanley nor Evelyn is biologically mine. Wow. 3 kids, 3 DNA tests, and none of them are mine. I can't even describe the pain I felt at that moment. It was like my entire life had been one big lie. I confronted Lucy again, and this time she broke down completely. She told me that she had affairs during the early years of our marriage when things were rocky. She said she didn't know who the fathers were and that she was too ashamed to tell me the truth. She said she hoped and prayed that I was a father, and when the kids were born, she convinced herself that it didn't matter because I had always been their dad. But it did matter. It mattered more than I could have ever imagined. The kids I had loved and raised were not mine by blood. Everything I thought I knew about my family was turned upside down. I couldn't stay with Lucy after that. The trust was gone, and I couldn't see any way of rebuilding it. I decided to divorce Lucy. Telling the kids was the hardest part. We sat them down and told them that we were separating, but I couldn't bring myself to tell them the real reason. How could I? How could I look into their eyes and tell them that I wasn't their biological father? I don't know if I could either. That the mother they loved had lied to me and to them their entire lives. We told them we had grown apart and that we both still loved them. They were devastated. Of course, Evelyn kept asking why we couldn't just fix it, and I didn't have the heart to tell her that some things can't be fixed. After the divorce, I moved into a small apartment on the other side of town. It's a lonely place, especially without the kids around. They stay with Lucy most of the time, but I see them every weekend. I'm trying to be strong for them, but it's hard. Every time I look at them, I'm reminded of the life I thought I had, the life that was taken away from me. I haven't told the kids the truth. I don't know if I ever will. I still love them, and they're still my kids in every way that matters. But I can't shake the feeling that I've lost something irreplaceable. I'm trying to move forward, but it feels like a part of me is stuck in the past, replaying everything that happened over and over again. Here's where I need your judgment. My family and some close friends think I'm overreacting by divorcing Lucy. They say that DNA test doesn't change the fact that I'm their father and that I should have worked things out for the sake of the kids. They've even implied that I'm being an asshole for breaking up the family over something that happened so long ago, something that Lucy regrets. Bullshit. She cheated on her husband and she doesn't deserve protection because it happened years ago. If her family and friends are telling him to stay with her, they are delusional. I always say, never live in misery with a cheating woman, regardless of when it happened. But I can't get past the betrayal. I feel like I deserve to know the truth, and I can't stay with someone who lied to me for 20 years. I feel like my whole identity as a father has been ripped away from me. So, Reddit, am I the a-hole for divorcing my wife after breaking up our family, after finding out I'm not the biological father of my kids? Edit, I want to thank everyone who has commented so far. I've been reading through your responses, and it's been both overwhelming and comforting to see how many people have taken the time to share their thoughts and experiences. I know some of you have suggested therapy, but I'm not sure if I want to do it. This is a lot to process, and I know I can't do it alone. I'm also thinking about how to move forward with the kids, whether to tell them the truth or not. It's such a difficult decision, and I don't want to hurt them any more than they've already been hurt. Thank you all for your support. It means more than I can say. Well, I can't imagine what this man is going through. He spent his time and resources raising 3 kids that are not his. The last time I checked, if a child was born in 2023, it will cost you about $375,000 to raise that child until they're 18. That number does not include college. That number has gone up $100,000 the last time I checked. And yes, in my opinion, paternity tests should be mandatory at birth so men can stay the fuck out of prison for not paying child support for kids that are not theirs. Thanks for tuning in. Until next time. Well, here we go. Another crazy story. He says, am I the a-hole for selling the car I bought my wife after discovering she used it to meet her affair partner? I, 34 male, bought my wife, she's 32, a new car for our 10th anniversary 6 months ago. It was a surprise gift, a sleek red 2024 Audi A4 she had been eyeing for months. I saved up and made some sacrifices to afford it, but seeing her face light up made it all worth it. Well, I thought it was worth it. Fast forward to last week. I was using her laptop with permission to check our joint bank account. Huh? Why do you need to ask your wife permission to use her laptop? If it's at home, if it's a home laptop, just jump on the damn thing. I can see if it may have been a work laptop, but at home, just jump on the damn laptop. A message notification popped up from someone named Jonathan from work. It looks like she must have forgotten she had this messaging app open. I shouldn't have clicked it, but I did. Well, she shouldn't have been doing something on her laptop that could potentially bite her in her ass. And my world came crashing down. The message read, "Can't wait to see you tonight. Same spot as usual?" My stomach dropped. I know I shouldn't have, but I scrolled up through their chat history. Flirty messages, explicit photos. She was sending this guy nudes. She has never sent me nude photos, never. Plans to meet up, and worst of all, multiple mentions of how convenient it was that she had her own car now to drive to their meetups. Even had conversations about how they broke it in. Now that's low. Why would you have sex in a car your spouse bought you as a gift? I am assuming that's what they meant when they say they broke it in. I confronted her that night when she got home. She denied it at first, then tried to downplay it as just a little flirting. But when I mentioned the photos and meetups, she broke down, admitted to an 8-month affair with her coworker. This is uncommon. Most women will not come out and confess to cheating. They just don't. Said she was lonely and felt neglected, that I worked too much and didn't pay attention to her. So wait, your husband works his ass off to provide for you and you reward him by cheating on him? Wow. I was furious, hurt, and betrayed. But what really got me was how she used the car I sacrificed so much for as a tool for her infidelity. This Audi A4 wasn't cheap by any means. No, they're not cheap. I told her to pack a bag and leave. Well, she told me to fuck off and said she wasn't going anywhere. I just walked away from her. After that, I moved my shit into the spare bedroom we had. I'm not sure our marriage can recover from this, but I knew one thing. I couldn't stand the sight of that damn car in our driveway. Every time I looked at it, all I could picture was her driving off to meet her lover. So I sold it, posted it online for a fair price, and I had a buyer within a few weeks. I used the money to pay off some debt and saved the rest. When my wife found out, she went ballistic, said I had no right to sell her car, that it was a gift and legally belonged to her. She's threatening legal action if I don't make it right. Her family is blowing up my phone, calling me petty and vindictive. Even some of our mutual friends are saying I went too far, that selling the car was a low blow, regardless of what she did. But I don't see it that way. To me, that car represented all the ways she betrayed my trust. Getting rid of it felt like reclaiming a small piece of my dignity. Am I the asshole here? Or was I justified in selling a painful reminder of her infidelity? Edit. Wow, this blew up overnight. Thanks for all the responses, both supportive and critical. I'll try to address some common points. 1. Yes, the car was in my name. I hadn't gotten around to transferring the title yet. Procrastination finally paid off, I guess. 2. For those asking about our finances, we both work full-time. I make a bit more, but we've always considered our money shared, which is why the car purchase didn't raise any flags for her. Don't know if it was a good idea selling her car from under her like that. Now he hinders her ability to provide for herself, which could bite him in the divorce. 3. Several people have asked if there were signs I missed. Looking back, yeah, probably. She'd been more distant lately, always on her phone, started dressing up more for work events. I can almost guarantee you all of those were not work events. I chalked it up to a promotion she got a few months back. Stupid of me, I know. 4. To the folks saying I should have kept the car out of spite, I get it. But honestly, I couldn't stand to look at the thing. It made me sick every time I saw it in the driveway. Maybe that's weak, but it's the truth. 5. For those wondering about next steps, I honestly don't know. Part of me wants to try counseling, see if we can salvage this. But why counseling? She's already showed you that she can't be trusted. Plus, she was sending news to another man that she's never done for you? Counseling? Come on, man. But another part feels like the trust is broken. I'm taking some time to clear my head before making any big decisions. 6. Lastly, to address the Jonathan from work situation. Yes, I've informed their HR department, not out of vengeance, but because they were using company time, resources for their affair. That's a liability for the business. What happens next is up to their employer. Thanks again for all the input, everyone. This whole situation sucks, but it helps to get some outside perspectives. I'll update if there are any major developments. Update. Well, things have escalated. My wife wasn't bluffing about legal action. I got served with papers yesterday. She's suing me for the value of the car plus damages for emotional distress. Her lawyer is arguing that the car was a gift and therefore her property. They're claiming I had no right to sell it, regardless of the circumstances. Well, if she was using that car to get back and forth to work, he may be on the hook for it. I've contacted a lawyer on my own to figure out my options. Initial consultation is tomorrow. This whole mess just keeps getting messier. Meanwhile, the fallout at her job has been swift. Turns out, Jonathan was actually her supervisor. Big no-no in terms of company policy. He's been fired. My wife's been placed on administrative leave pending an investigation. She's blaming me for ruining her career. Says if I hadn't snitched to HR, everything would be fine. I've said in previous videos, actions have consequences. I'm trying hard not to feel guilty about that. Play stupid games, win stupid prizes, right? Our friends and family are even more divided now. Some are firmly on my side, saying she's got a lot of nerve suing me after what she did. Others think I've crossed the line by involving her workplace. They say I should have kept it between us instead of airing dirty laundry. I'm starting to feel like I can't trust anyone's judgment anymore, including my own. On a slightly positive note, I've started seeing a therapist, trying to work through all this anger and hurt. It's helping, I think. At least it gives me a safe space to vent without worrying about legal repercussions. I'll update again after meeting with my lawyer. Thanks for listening, Reddit. This has been a hell of a roller coaster. Update 2. Met with my lawyer yesterday. The good news, he thinks I have a strong case. The car was still in my name, which helps a lot legally. Plus, we live in an at-fault divorce state. Her infidelity could work in my favor if this goes to court. The bad news, he advises settling out of court if possible. Says even if we win, the legal fees could be astronomical, not to mention the emotional toll of a drawn-out court battle. He's drafting a counteroffer to her lawyers. Basic gist, I'll pay her half the car's value if she drops all other claims. It's not ideal, but it might be the cleanest way to end this mess. In other developments, my wife's been officially terminated from her job. The company's investigation found multiple policy violations. She's not taking it well, keeps calling and texting, alternating between apologies and threats. I've blocked her number for now. All communication goes through our lawyers. I've also started the divorce process. It's about damn time. It feels surreal typing that out. But after everything that's happened, I don't see how we can come back from this. Too much damage, too much betrayal. Some of you have asked if I regret selling the car given all the trouble it's caused. Honestly, not really. Yeah, it's made things more complicated legally, but it also forced everything out into the open. No more secrets, no more lies. In a weird way, it's almost a relief. I know this isn't the happy ending some of you are hoping for. Life rarely wraps up as neatly as we'd like. That's a true statement. But I'm taking it one day at a time, focusing on healing and moving forward. Thanks for all the support, Reddit. It means more than you know. I'll post a final update once everything's settled legally. Until then, wish me luck. I've got a feeling I'm going to need it. Final update. It's been a wild few months, but things are finally settling down. Here's where everything stands. The lawsuit. We settled out of court. I ended up paying my ex-wife 60% of the car's value, more than I wanted, less than she demanded. My lawyer says it's a win, all things considered. The divorce finalized last week. We split our assets 50-50, no alimony involved. He is lucky he didn't have to pay alimony. Even in an at-fault state, remember, he makes a little bit more than she does. It was surprisingly civil, given how things started. I think we were both just ready for it to be over. My ex, last I heard, she's moved to another state for a fresh start. Part of me hopes she's doing okay. Most of me is just glad to have her out of my life. My job got a promotion last month. The extra money's nice, but most importantly, it keeps me busy. My mental health, still seeing my therapist regularly. It's been hugely helpful in processing everything. I have good days and bad days, but the good ones are starting to outnumber the bad. Dating, not ready for anything serious yet, but I've been on a few casual dates. It's nice to be reminded that there are still good people out there. Looking back, selling that car was definitely a turning point. Was it the smartest move legally? Probably not. But it was the catalyst I needed to take control of my life again. So, final verdict, was I the asshole for selling the car? Maybe a little. It was impulsive and complicated things unnecessarily. But you know what? I can live with that. Sometimes you've got to do something drastic to shake yourself out of a bad situation. Thanks for coming along on this journey with me, Reddit. Your support and advice have been invaluable. If there's one lesson I've learned from all of this, is that life goes on. No matter how bad things seem, you can always rebuild. Here's to new beginnings. So, Reddit, do you think I was the asshole here to sell my ex-wife's brand new 2024 Audi A4 after I found out she was using it to cheat on me and see her affair partner? Yeah, this was a weird one. But sometimes property can hold up the divorce process, and sometimes lawyers recommend mediation, usually less expensive than a traditional divorce. Thanks for tuning in. Until next time. Here we go, another story on deck. He says, am I the a-hole for using our joint savings to hire a PI to prove my wife's affair? Okay, here goes. This is a story of how I found out my wife was cheating and why I don't think I'm the a-hole for using our joint savings to prove it. I didn't want my family or friends to know what I was up to, or to let them know my wife was cheating. They would probably talk to her. I didn't want that. One minute you're planning your 10th anniversary trip, the next you're hiring a PI to follow your spouse around town. But I'm getting ahead of myself. My wife, let's call her Audrey, and I met her in college. We were the typical love story. Met at a party, dated for a few years, got married right after graduation. We had our issues like most young couples did, but I assumed we were okay. We were both struggling before we both landed decent paying jobs. We rented a nice starter home, which was perfect for the two of us. Everything seemed like it was in place for our marriage to blossom. But you know what they say about good things that seem too good to be true? It always happens like that. We seem to miss red flags and think everything is fine. It's common. It started with little things. Audrey began working late more often. At first, it was once a week, then twice, then almost every day. She said her company was pushing for a big contract and everyone was putting in extra hours. Made sense, so I didn't question it. Then came the girls' night out that seemed to happen more frequently. From my time narrating stories on YouTube, I am finding out that these girls' nights are not really girls' nights. Again, I didn't think much of it. Audrey worked hard. She deserved to blow off some steam with her friends. Plus, I'm not the controlling type. I trusted my wife. I had no reason not to trust her. The real red flag came when Audrey started guarding her phone like it held state secrets. She'd always been pretty open with her device. We knew each other's passcodes and often used each other's phones to look stuff up or make calls. But suddenly, she changed her passcode and started taking her phone everywhere, even to the bathroom. Yep, red flags are blowing in the wind. One night, I woke up to find her side of the bed empty. I heard her voice downstairs, like she was whispering. When I went to check, she quickly ended the call and said it was just her sister having relationship troubles. At 2:15 a.m., something didn't add up. Yeah, right. If it was her sister, she could have stayed in bed right next to her husband and take that call. So while Audrey was in the shower the next morning, I checked our phone bill. There were dozens of calls and texts to a number that seemed to get a lot of attention, often late at night or during her supposed work late nights. My heart started racing a little. I could feel it. I wanted to confront her right then and there, but I knew I needed more proof. That's when I made the decision that brought me here. I decided to hire a private investigator. Now, here's where the I am the asshole part comes in. To pay for the PI, I dipped into our joint savings account. It wasn't a small amount either. Good PIs don't come cheap, and I wanted someone thorough. I withdrew $6,000 without telling Audrey. I know what you're thinking. That's a lot of money, and it was a joint savings. But hear me out. This was money we'd been saving for our future, for a family we might never have if my suspicions were right. In my mind, I was protecting our future by uncovering the truth. The PI got to work immediately. For 2 weeks, I lived in a state of constant anxiety. Every time Audrey's phone buzzed, every time she said she had to work late, I wondered if this was it, the moment my world would come crashing down. And then it happened. The PI called me at work, saying he had photographic evidence and wanted to meet. I left early, telling my boss I had a family emergency. In a way, I guess I did. The photos were heart-wrenching to look at. There was Audrey, my wife of nearly 10 years, kissing another man outside a hotel. The PI had more, pictures of them having dinner, holding hands in the park, entering and leaving the hotel on multiple occasions. He even had a video of them making out in a park and having sex in their car. Damn, she's trifling. I felt like I was going to be sick. All those late nights at work, all those girls' nights out, lies, every single one of them. The man in the photos, Audrey's co-worker, the one she'd mentioned a few times in passing. Turns out he wasn't just a co-worker. I went home in a daze, the envelope of photos burning a hole in my briefcase. Audrey was already there, watching TV like nothing was wrong, like she hadn't just shattered our entire life together. I couldn't hold it in anymore. I threw the envelope on the coffee table, photos spilling out. You tell me, Audrey, is everything okay? Her face went white. She immediately tried to deny it, said the photos were fake, that I was crazy. But as I laid out everything, the late nights, the secretive phone calls, the changes in her behavior, she broke down. Turns out, the affair had been going on for months. She swore it didn't mean anything, that she still loved me, that we could work it out. But how do you come back from something like that? What the fuck? Why does almost every woman who cheats say this? So she can cheat again if he takes her back. I left that night, found a hotel. I wasn't staying with family or friends, didn't want them being nosy. Over the next few days, I barely ate or slept. I called in sick to work, ignored calls from friends and family. I just needed time to process. When I finally went back home, Audrey was there, eyes red from crying. She begged for another chance, said she'd do anything to make it right. I didn't believe a word coming out of her mouth, but a bigger part knew that trust, once broken, is nearly impossible to fully repair. I told her I wanted a divorce. She cried, pleaded, got angry, then cried some more. My mind was made up and I was becoming indifferent by the minute. I couldn't stay in a marriage where I'd always be wondering, always be suspicious. That's when she noticed the bank statement on the coffee table, saw the $6,000 withdrawal. "You used our savings to spy on me?" she yelled. And I said, "How could you fuck up our marriage by sleeping with another man?" She threatened to tell everyone that I had invaded her privacy, that I was controlling and paranoid. I told her to go ahead. I had nothing to hide. The next few months were a blur of lawyers, paperwork, and dividing up our life. It was messy and painful, but I knew it was the right decision. Audrey moved out, and last I heard, she was still seeing the coworker. Good luck to him. Once a cheater, always a cheater, right? As for me, I'm slowly putting my life back together. It's not easy starting over at 35, but it's better than living a lie. I've started therapy, getting back into shape, even joined a support group for people going through divorce. It helps to know I'm not alone in this. But here's the thing that still nags at me. Was I wrong to use our joint savings to hire the PI? Part of the money was hers, and to my surprise, I didn't have to pay the money back. It wasn't brought up at the divorce hearing. Not sure if that was an oversight on the judge and her attorney. Well, I am assuming because it was joint, they both had access to it. He just beat her to it. But another part feels justified. If I hadn't done it, how long would the affair have continued? How many more lies would I have believed? I've talked to friends about it, and opinions are split. Some say I had every right to uncover the truth, especially since Audrey was the one who broke our vows first. Others say I should have confronted her directly instead of hiring someone to follow her. Looking back, I don't regret my decision. Yes, it was a lot of money. Yes, it was underhanded, but it gave me the proof I needed to make a clean break, to know beyond a shadow of a doubt that I was making the right choice in ending our marriage. The way I see it, that $6,000 brought me the truth. Yeah, it did. And the truth, painful as it was, set me free. It allowed me to start healing, to move on with my life instead of living in suspicion and doubt. But I get why some people might see it differently. Maybe I should have trusted my gut and confronted Audrey directly. Maybe I should have suggested couples therapy first. But why couples therapy? Why waste money on that? That's not guaranteed to solve your problems. But when you're in that situation, when your whole world is crumbling around you, you don't always think clearly. I'm not proud of how things ended with Audrey, but I am proud of myself for having the courage to uncover the truth and walk away. It would have been easier to bury my head in the sand, to pretend everything was fine. But that's no way to live. So, am I the asshole for using our joint savings to hire a PI? Maybe, but I'd rather be an asshole with the truth than a fool living a lie. Since posting this story, I've received an overwhelming response. It seems like everyone has an opinion, and honestly, it's been both comforting and overwhelming to know how many people have been in similar situations. A lot of people have asked what happened next, so here's a quick update. The divorce was finalized 6 months ago. It was tough, but I got through it. Audrey tried to use the PI thing against me in the settlement, but my lawyer pointed out that her infidelity was a real issue. In the end, we split everything 50-50, which I think is fair. I'm still in therapy, working through the trust issues this whole ordeal left me with. It's a process, but I'm getting there. I've downloaded a few dating apps, but after looking at a few YouTube videos, everyone is saying those dating apps are a waste of time. Why are you downloading dating apps? It's too soon. You need to heal first. As for Audrey, last I heard, she and the coworker didn't last. Surprise, surprise. She reached out a few months ago saying she'd made a huge mistake and wanted to try again. I politely declined. Some bridges, once burned, can't be rebuilt. Looking back, I still don't think I'm the asshole in this situation. Was hiring a PI the most ethical choice? Hell yeah, it was. I don't think I would have found out. But when you're desperate for the truth, sometimes you do desperate things. To those who've said I should have trusted my gut and confronted Audrey directly, you're probably right. Hindsight is 20/20, and if I could do it all over again, maybe I would have done things differently. But I can't change the past, only learn from it. For anyone out there suspecting their partner of cheating, my advice would be this: trust your instincts, but also be prepared for the consequences of your actions. In the end, I'm grateful for the support and advice I've received from this community. It's been a long, hard road, but I'm finally starting to see the light at the end of the tunnel, and for that, I'm thankful. So, that's my story, a tale of love, betrayal, and yes, a private investigator. It's not the happily ever after I imagined when I said I do all those years ago, but it's my reality. And you know what? I'm okay with that. Because at the end of the day, I'd rather face a harsh truth than live a comfortable lie. And if that makes me an asshole in some people's eyes, well, I can live with that too. Well, in my opinion, he made a statement about couples counseling. I don't get it. If you already passed the breaking point, why waste money? Couples counseling is not a guarantee for success. Plus, if you don't trust her, what good will counseling do? Delay the inevitable? What if she cheats again? Think the money they spent on counseling was worth it? Thanks for tuning in. Until next time. All right, guys, I got another one for you. To me, this story has some comical moments. Sometimes people lead with their emotions. Also, this story has a small update at the end. Am I the a-hole for changing the locks while my cheating wife was on a so-called work trip with her lover? Never thought I'd be here, asking strangers on the internet if I'm the a-hole. But life's funny like that. I'm 38, married to Valerie, 37.